Welcome to Slash Roll Reviews, the channel where we show you unique perspectives on your favourite movies. Today's analysis will be of the mysterious elements within the science fiction film masterpiece 2001: A Space Odyssey by Stanley Kubrick. Stay through the course of the video to hear astronaut Buzz Aldrin's unexpected connection to one of these mysterious elements. If you haven't seen this film before, be aware there are very heavy spoilers ahead. No AI was used in the making of this analysis. In this investigation, I'll be highlighting theories about hidden subtext that are believed to be in the film, and also how the film itself may have influenced certain conspiracy theories. I don't necessarily believe some of these theories myself, but they are still fascinating and entertaining to look into, and you can use this analysis to help form your own conclusions. There are many other aspects, themes and theories to Stanley Kubrick's 2001, which can't all be said in one short video, so I've narrowed it down into 4 points. Point 1. The ancient alien connection. The surface level plot of the film clearly suggests to us that some form of intelligence has placed the monoliths at key locations where humans can find them throughout time. This ties into a popular theory that ancient aliens in the past have visited us and influenced the development of mankind. In 2001, it's clear that the monoliths caused an awakening of intelligence when the apes touched this mysterious artificial object. This newfound intelligence gives them the ability to hunt larger animals for food with a bludgeoning bone and use it as a weapon to defeat the competing tribe. The famous shot with the ape throwing the bone weapon into the sky is intercut with a similarly shaped orbital weapon satellite in space and in the future, another tool of destruction man is shown to possess. Ancient civilizations such as the Sumerians in Babylon worshipped Anunnaki sky gods they believed created humanity. These Anunnaki have been interpreted by theorists such as Zecharia Sitchin to have been extraterrestrials from the sky who not only ruled over humanity but had a hand in human genetics and evolution. Alien intervention, although not explicitly said, is what can be interpreted to take place in the opening segment of 2001: A Space Odyssey. Modern ancient astronaut theory, which is considered pseudoscience by mainstream academia, mainly came about after 1968 with the publishing of the book Chariots of the Gods by Erich von Däniken. 1968 also happens to be the same year Stanley Kubrick's 2001 was released in theatres and cemented as a classic in popular culture. Could Kubrick's film also have had a hand in cementing the popularity of ancient astronaut belief alongside Erich von Däniken and Sitchin's books? Another example in the film of the ancient alien theme is in the later scene where it is revealed through dialogue that the monolith on the moon had been deliberately buried 4 million years ago. Similarly, ancient astronaut proponents tend to believe that there are alien ruins on the moon and Mars constructed in the distant past. For instance, we have the face on Mars made famous by Richard C. Hoagland from the 1976 Viking NASA probe imagery. This included unusual land terrain that looked like eroded pyramids somewhat resembling the Giza Plateau on Earth in Egypt. NASA claims this is not the case and is natural Martian terrain, but to this day, many believe NASA knows the real truth. We have also had supposed whistleblowers such as former US Air Force Sergeant Carl Wolf, who claimed to have seen untampered with satellite photography taken by the lunar orbiter in the 1960s of a base on the far side of the moon. It's a fascinating concept whether you believe it or not, and worth looking into. Point 2. The symbolism of the rising sun. The opening shot of the movie clearly shows us the sun rising up behind the planet Earth. This is followed by the opening scene of the film accompanied by the subtitle, The Dawn of Man, among a series of landscape shots of a desert location on Earth. The sun is again rising in many of these shots, followed by the significant scene of the humanoid apes coming into contact with the mysterious monolith the morning after they had lost territory to a rival tribe. There is a low-angle shot looking up at the towering monolith, but this time we see the rising sun above it. All of these shots of the rising sun are not just to create a visually appealing atmosphere, they actually have an encoded meaning. The sun itself for thousands of years in many cultures has been the symbol for intelligence, and this concept has even permeated our language. As the late esoteric scholar Jordan Maxwell once stated, we say someone is enlightened or bright when describing someone of intellectual prowess. Etymologically, the word enlighten is to supply with intellectual light. Other terms such as it dawned on me or to shed light upon also have obvious sun connotations. Note that the rising sun also appears above the second monolith during the later scene that takes place on the moon with Dr. Floyd's secret astronaut mission. Many secret societies name themselves after words synonymous with the sun, as those members believe themselves to be intellectually enlightened, such as the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, or the more commonly known, the Illuminati, formed in 1776. The name itself clearly includes the word illuminate. The largest secret society of them all, Freemasonry, uses many sun symbols because of their studies of the ancient mystery schools of old, which were heavily into sun worship. Ancient religions and cultures such as those of ancient Egypt, Babylon and India, among others, were heavily into sun worship. After all, the sun is the giver of life, allows crops to grow, provides warmth, and is literally the light of the world, so it has always been key to humanity's survival. In ancient Egypt, Ra was the supreme sun god. In ancient Sumeria, it was Utu. In Christianity, there's even sun references, as Jesus is referred to as the light of the world, or our risen saviour. In the Vedic texts of India, Surya was the god of the sun. He is referred to as the rising sun that is the dispeller of darkness, and one that empowers knowledge. I believe this reference may be encoded into 2001: A Space Odyssey, when the apes intellectually evolve after touching the monolith below the rising sun. However, Stanley Kubrick himself never stated he believed in a god, but he was quite the bookworm, so there's no question in my mind he was aware of the significance of sun symbolism throughout religions and its esoteric meaning. In the film, Kubrick is visually showing us the transfer of knowledge onto the apes using the rising sun. Kubrick once stated in an interview with Playboy magazine in 1968, "Our existence as a species can have genuine meaning and fulfillment. However vast the darkness, we must supply our own light." Point 3. Cover-ups and false narratives. Dr. Hayward Floyd's brief talk on Space Station 5 just before his mission to the moon has him conversing with a group of scientists. A Russian character known as Dr. Smyslov mentions reliable intelligence of an epidemic of unknown origin that has broken out at the moon base on Clavius. Hayward Floyd responds in a polite but serious tone that he is not at liberty to discuss it. The cover-up is unravelled near the end of the film when the HAL 9000 AI is manually shut down in the Discovery 1 computer core. The true origins of the reason for the Jupiter mission are finally revealed in a pre-recorded briefing of Dr. Floyd saying, "The first evidence of intelligent life off the Earth was discovered, and that a strong radio signal was directed towards Jupiter by the lunar monolith." Going back to the scene where Dr. Floyd is giving his speech to brief the crew situated on the Clavius moon base, he mentions about the opposition to the cover story created to give the impression there's an epidemic at the base. He goes on to say that they are surely aware of the extremely grave potential for cultural shock and social disorientation contained in the situation. This reasoning reflects what many UFO researchers believe is the justification within governments to cover up the truth about UFOs and other topics. As promised at the beginning of the video, I would reveal astronaut Buzz Aldrin's connection to 2001: A Space Odyssey. As we all know, Buzz Aldrin is said to be the second man to have walked on the moon's surface during the Apollo 11 mission in 1969. Many ufologists believe he knows a lot more than the official historical record about the moon and space. Aldrin recalled seeing an unidentified object following the Apollo capsule on its way to the moon in 1969. This was covered up at the time to not cause panic among the public. Additionally, there has been claims by ufologists that astronaut Neil Armstrong switched to another communications channel to report that an alien craft was parked on the side of a crater watching the historic moonwalk. NASA denies this, of course, causing there to be accusations of a cover-up. But there's another example of a possible cover-up that spiked the interests of many conspiracy theorists. In a C-SPAN interview, Buzz Aldrin emphasized there is a monolith on the moon of Mars. This, in my opinion, was a clear reference to the monolith in 2001: A Space Odyssey. Could it be that Aldrin knows more than he is allowed to say because of a cover-up by NASA regarding ancient alien structures? And was this leakage of the real truth from his mind? You decide. Alternatively, many believe there is a cover-up regarding the Apollo moon landings actually being faked and shot in a studio at secret military facilities. Stanley Kubrick is cited by theorists as being the main contender to have directed the 1969 moon landing because of his successful groundbreaking work on 2001: A Space Odyssey a year prior to NASA's Apollo 11 moon mission. As film analyst Rob Ager from the YouTube channel Collative Learning has pointed out, Kubrick depicts the Clavius moon base as having the same gravity as Earth. How would this be possible, as this moon base is not rotating unlike Space Station 5, which was rotating in an earlier scene to create a form of artificial Earth gravity? Was this Earth gravity on the moon base a subliminal message from Kubrick in 2001 that everything on the Apollo moon landing a year later would be a hoax shot on Earth? Indeed, the briefing scene on the moon with this Earth-like gravity has Dr. Floyd talking about a cover-up in itself. The accuracy of the engineering design design in the film's spacecrafts and space station also adds to the theory that if anyone was to do a good job at directing a realistic looking fake moon landing, it would be Stanley Kubrick, although personally I think it would have looked a lot better if he was the director behind it. Point 4. The AI threat. The obvious theme throughout the film is the threat of AI to humanity from the HAL 9000 onboard computer in the Discovery 1 spacecraft. Just like the film The Terminator, 2001 A Space Odyssey suggests that humanity could fall victim to the very technology that is created to initially aid us. We are first introduced to HAL when the characters of Dr. Dave Bowman and Frank Paul are watching the BBC 12 broadcast about their mission on Discovery 1. There is a segment which states that the HAL 9000 mimics most of the abilities of the human brain, but with incalculable greater speed and reliability. HAL describes itself as a conscious entity, and we're also shown HAL's point of view throughout many shots, suggesting this visually. The characters somewhat treat HAL as if it is a sentient life form, and later in the film it acts in its own interest to preserve its existence after it found out that it would be disconnected. HAL's ability to lip read the secret conversation between Frank and Dave in the pod shows the great abilities it has over them and over their assumptions that they thought they could outsmart it. The very fact Dave and Frank feel the need to have their discussion about HAL in private shows their wariness of this AI computer and how it could react to their doubts about it. After all, HAL 9000 has control over the life support systems of the ship, which gives it power over them. Indeed, HAL proves to be a dangerous AI threat when it disconnects these life support systems to the ship, killing the hibernating crew. Additionally, HAL took control of the maintenance capsule and rammed it into Frank during his spacewalk, killing him. Dave overcomes HAL's attempt at locking him out of the spacecraft and begins the process of disconnecting the HAL computer. When he does this, HAL actually says to him, "I'm afraid, Dave." Is this genuine emotion of a sentient being, or is it a psychological trick through a sympathetic ploy it is playing on Dave's humanity? Either way, it is acting in the interests of its own survival, proving that its main priority is itself. Kubrick once stated that most advanced computer theorists believe that once you have a computer that is more intelligent than man and capable of learning by experience, it's inevitable that it will develop an equivalent range of emotional reactions: fear, love, hate, envy, etc. To conclude this point, the film clearly shows us the contrasting outcomes technology itself can bring to the human race. It can either be a great tool of empowerment, or technology can be a dangerous tool when you are on the receiving end of it being used against you. For example, nuclear power versus nuclear weaponry. Or if you break it down further, the term knowledge is power comes to mind. Technology itself is an extension and a consequence of knowledge and intellect. On the flip side, certain technologies also provide us with knowledge. Therefore, we can conclude that the bone used by the apes at the dawn of man is a simplified version of this message, not only about technology, but power itself. The HAL computer, a new tool of humanity which at first aids the astronauts on their voyage with its knowledge, also uses its abilities against the crew dependent on it, becoming a dangerous threat. Kubrick once stated that such a machine could eventually become as incomprehensible as a human being, and could, of course, have a nervous breakdown, as HAL did in the film. In the real world, this is the main crux of the fear pushed by people such as Elon Musk today, that AI could turn against humanity when or if it outsmarts us completely, when it potentially could deem us as being in the way if it attains a form of sentience just like HAL in 2001, or Skynet from the Terminator. On a side note, it's interesting that Kubrick tried to get the film AI off the ground in the 1990s, but shelved it due to wanting to wait for digital technology to catch up with his vision, and it's a real shame he never directed that movie. This brings me to the end of the analysis. The themes and concepts throughout Stanley Kubrick's films, along with his ambiguous style of filmmaking, is what warrants the many analyses people have done over the years. He lets the audience come to their own conclusions rather than telling them how and what to think. Whether our interpretations are correct or not, the point is, Kubrick made us think of wider concepts, which in my opinion is what a great artist aspires to do. I rate this movie 5 out of 5, a masterpiece of rewatchability. Thanks for watching this all the way through. There will be more film analysis as well as basic reviews in the near future, so don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment down below if you enjoyed this video. Please like and share, and remember, no AI was used in the making of this analysis. Thanks for watching.